We are live.
Awesome.
Welcome to the SELAH Dubbcast. How's everybody doing out there tonight? We're here to raise the vibrations. Big love and unity from the Dubb. Shouting out to you from the Adonai Studios. Hope everybody's feeling good out there. Give us a special show for you tonight with the night nurse, Kimberly McSMITH from Reggae Redemption Radio, 98.7. Hope everybody's feeling good tonight. We are feeling good. This is going to be fun. We're going to go in depth with the night nurse tonight. We're going to hear about her story. All right. How's everybody feeling out there? Give us a shout. We're going live here on the YouTube SELAH Dubb channel, as well as on Facebook, Instagram, and on iTunes, Spotify, Anchor, Castbox, and all your different casting sites. This is the Dubbcast number 23. Are you feeling good out there, people? We're here to raise the vibration. Big love and unity from the Dubb. The SELAH Dubbcast is brought to you by Carl Heverly Surfboards. Check them out at Carl Heverly Surf. Everything from 10-foot long boards to pocket thrusters and in between. Handmade by Carl Heverly himself in Emerald Isle, North Carolina. Carl Heverly Surfboards. Grab your cup of coffee. It's going to be a fun show tonight. If you're on YouTube, please like and subscribe. Send us a comment and ring the bell. We're trying to raise up the tribe. How's everybody feeling out there tonight? Hope you're feeling good. Big thanks for tuning in to the Dubbcast tonight. We got a special show with sweet Kimberly McSMITH, one of our favorites, indeed, everyone's favorite. It's been keeping the reggae alive for probably 30 years now, and we are super, super stoked and super excited to go in depth with her and hear her story. So stick around. I want to thank everybody for tuning into all the vlogs and podcasts and acoustic casts we've been doing the last few weeks. We've been definitely having a good time putting that together for you. And we're gearing up for the new video called On With The Mix. Kirby's been working on that with me, and she's the star of the show. So it's our new dance hall video coming out in just a few days. Don't miss that. If you're tuning in to Facebook, I want to thank all the good friends for tuning in and tuning in last night. All the people on YouTube for tuning in and checking out Leisure McCorkle. What a great interview that was. He went in depth. Check out the Dubbcast number 22. Leisure went in depth with his trip through India, Japan, Nepal, his years playing pop music, and now his years as an acoustic live musician. So check out the Leisure McCorkle podcast. And we want to thank all the good friends for tuning into the Spotify and iTunes version. All you people out there in podcast land, we want to thank you so much. Also, come check us out at SELAHDUBB.com. On SELAHDUBB.com, we're going a little more in depth to some of the videos and some of the such. If we end up getting banned on anything here, anything gets cut out, like the Closeout City video, which actually got banned on Facebook for a couple weeks there till we refixed it for everybody. Well, all that stuff will be on the SELAHDUBB.com channel. So don't miss all the good fun going on. Big love and unity from the Dubb. All right, stick around in just a second here. We got the interview with Kim. All right. This is the Dubbcast, brought to you by Adonai Productions here in Wrightsville Beach, North Carolina. Check us out at AdonaiProductions.com. All right. Kim, are you there?
I am here.
All
Have you been
right.
talking? I'm out here, Mark. You know I live out here, Carolina Beach, right at it. Anyway, and the rain and all of the dreariness, man, it's messing with my signal. Can you hear me well?
Yes, I can hear you real good. Hold on a second. Let me get it turned up for you.
Okay.
Make sure that everyone can hear you out there. We can hear you real good. I'm working the board here. This is Kim the Night Nurse. If you don't know who she is, she comes to you live every Sunday on Reggae Redemption Radio on Modern Rock 98.7. She has been our local reggae DJ for many, many a decade, and we have appreciated her. Everyone loves her all along the coast. Goes on at 10 o'clock in the morning on Sundays until noon, and everyone wakes up in the morning to that reggae, and it brings a light to and a vibration. She raises the vibration, and she's gone in depth and met every one of the great stars of reggae. She's friends with many of the great stars, and she knows the history and the in-depth stories of the great roots masters. So today's going to be a very fun interview indeed. And Kim,
Yes.
are you doing all right today?
I am. I'm feeling well, Irie, and especially to be on with you, my brother. We go back way, way many years. I mean, like you said, I've been in this almost 30 years. It's 28 this year. And that's a long time. I know it is. If y'all make me feel old when you talk about the years.
Well, you're only 20. What? You're only 29
I started
now.
when I
How
was
did that
three
work?
and a half. Y'all know that, right? I started when I was three and a half.
Okay,
Yeah, man. I was a radio prodigy.
You're 30.
Is what they
Okay.
call me. Yeah. But yeah. So what was the question? Did you? I forgot where we are. I'm so excited.
Well,
But
we're just getting beginning, and I was asking how you doing. I know you've been through
doing
some
well.
crazy stuff, and we probably don't want to discuss that stuff. But
Oh, we can. I can tell. Look, I can tell the people them. I have had a week, you all. I had my identity stolen last Friday,
I
and
didn't know if
it
you wanted to talk
has.
about it.
Nah, man, it happens. It happens to the worst, the best of us. It's a human condition, thievery, and it touched my life last week, and I'm still, going through it and haven't gotten it all worked out. But I'm working on it, and the Most High is seeing me through. And reggae is, as usual, it's medicinal, and it lifts me up. Like you say, it lifts the vibration. So yeah, thank you for asking me. That's the thing about I'm normally the interviewer, but when I get interviewed, I tell people, you ask me a question, I'm gonna give you the answer. So thank you for that question. I'm gonna keep it real with you the whole way.
Well, good. Well, we hope you get it worked out, and it's
Thank
just
you,
one of
Mark.
those life things. I know, like my drummer.
Oh my
My drummer
God.
had the same thing happen, and like I said to you, he had a Cadillac bought on his
I mean,
bank card, and they still think he bought a Cadillac, and he does not. He drives an old Honda that's all messed up.
I mean, that's insane. There are people who make their living off robbing other people. And I will say this, as bad as this is, and it is not a good thing and it's not a fun thing to go through, but it made me realize that this is the first time in my life that I've been robbed. I've never had any material taken from me.
Yeah.
So I lived 55 years and didn't get robbed. So I guess there's the silver lining. You know me, I'm going to always try to find that.
Life in North
So,
Carolina, right?
yeah.
You
So where we going? Where we going? I'm ready for you. I'm ready.
Well, let's go. We're going to go in depth. Okay. We're going to go from the
Okay.
start. Now, first off, I just really want to know where you came from, where are your roots? I know you've
Oh
been in North
man.
Carolina for a long time, but it goes back to your father and your family who has African descent. So let's just go all the way
So
back from where your
so
father
I
came from and where you came into the picture.
grew up in Raleigh, North Carolina. I am a Carolina born and raised girl, but I grew up in a family with a father who is from Sierra Leone, West Africa. West Africa. So
Wow.
some of those influences, of course, came into my life. And I've always been part of an Afrocentric family. I had an upbringing in North Carolina. There's a town outside of North Carolina called Wendell, and my grandmother is from there. And so I spent a lot of my childhood even in that neck of the woods. So for reggae to find me, and to not just find me, but to find a place of connectivity, because world music, yes, has always been a part of African music, has always been a part, but reggae, there's no logical reason for it, to have found me the way that it did. And that's the way I describe it to people. Reggae found me and helped me find the rest of myself.
That's the truth of me too. I think something when we grew up, somewhere in our upbringing in those 80s, we got some kind of reggae influence got into our.
Aren't we blessed?
But let's keep going. So you grew up in Raleigh,
in the Carolinas. Yeah, born and raised. And I can tell you. Well, go ahead and ask the question before I go in.
Before we go any deeper, I just want to ask you this. I use different questions I get from different interviewers, and Patrick.
Go for it.
Patrick David when he starts his interview, he always asks his guests, "Who were you in high school?"
Who was I?
Oh, I love that. That's a great question, don't you think?
Yes. Oh gosh. No. Can I borrow it too?
Yeah. It's the best question. Best way to kick off an interview, right?
That's a beautiful thing. So a lot of my friends know what I do because they listen to the show, and they would say that I was a clown. I was one of the class clowns. I always have liked to laugh and like to make people laugh to my own detriment sometimes. And I have friends who never got in trouble for laughing in class, but I always got caught because I think I was a ringer. I was a ringleader, rather. And I was theatrical because I went to a magnet school. And at the time, it was the first year, I think, of this magnet school in Raleigh. It was Enloe High School.
Really?
In Raleigh, yeah. And out of middle school, you had to be accepted. So it was like a big deal, back then. It's not that magnet schools are not what they were when they first started back in the 80s. But yeah, so I got chosen as one of the kids plucked from, public school to go into this elevated and accelerated learning environment. And you had to choose a focus and a concentration, a major. So I was a theater major. So I've always been, somebody who put myself out there like I do now.
Was it like that show Fame?
Yes.
You had all kinds of characters.
Oh, you got me right in the feels with that, Mark. You don't know. I know, like the film. First of all, there was a film, so I know the soundtrack for Fame. Don't get me started. I will start kicking high and singing up in here. Well,
that is hilarious.
Yes, it's real.
So what kept you from becoming a reggae singer?
What's crazy? What's crazy is that I can sing, and I've had people who hear me sing because I sing on the down low. And there's my kids, my ex-husbands with an S. Let's not talk about that on the show today. But I've had those folks, and people who spend time around me say, "Gosh, you can sing," and I'm like, I know. I could talk to people on the radio, Mark. I could stand on a stage in front of 2 million people and bring on a band and hype up the crowd. And like you said, lift the vibration. But when it comes to singing, I don't know. Something happens and I clam up, and I don't have nearly the guts that I do everywhere else. I don't know what it is.
I do the same. I do the same thing every show. I do the same thing every show, so don't worry about it.
What do you mean? You're an awesome singer.
Oh, no matter who's on, everyone gets so nervous on stage. Don't let anybody fool you that you don't get. Everyone, even I remember watching Jimmy Page get interviewed before a show, and they're like, "Are you nervous?" Jimmy Page from Led Zeppelin. Are you nervous right now? He's at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame Awards, and I'm nervous before every show. It's like everyone gets nervous to be in front of those people, and it's like a nerve-wracking rush. It's terrible.
It's gotta be, because I can do it all. And I'm never. That's the other thing. I'm never nervous on stage. Stage feels like a warm, fuzzy blanket to me. But if you ask me to sing on that bad boy, then all the bets are off. And I wish I could understand it myself, but I don't, man. I wish I could, because I love to sing.
I've had to psychoanalyze it, and it's all to do with the fact that music is so personal to the fans. And so when you're in front of those musicians, those people listen to you play music for them, the person, there's a different personal, everyone has
Oh,
such a
I like
personal
that.
attachment to that music.
Yeah.
So for you to sing in for them is really to come into their space and get really into their psyche. And so
Yeah.
it's a deep thing to do. If you really know what's going on, or if you don't even know what's going on, it's can be, there's a wall that goes up because you're going to penetrate into their psyche, so,
I believe that.
and you can
I
do a
watch
good
you all
job or a
do it.
bad job, and you can have a good reaction back. And most of the time they're going to react badly at first, especially if they don't know you. So you have to deal with the fact, just like anybody, when you first hear a song, you might don't know the musicians, you might be like, well, who is that? What is that? Because you heard so much and you got no time for it. And so people immediately, when they've never heard another person sing or their music, they're immediately going to be a little bit standoffish. So that's just like a natural thing that makes performing that much harder every time.
Well, but you bring up some important stuff, because I remember my first night on the radio, and I mean, I was horrified. I was horrified for a good 3 months, 4 months, until I just said, whatever, and just went for it and started to develop my radio personality. But I remember sucking really bad on the radio at first because I was horrified and I just didn't believe in her. I didn't believe in who I was trying to conjure, the night nurse. And I just had to start believing her. And then it became actually a persona separate from Kim, you know? And so that's what I kind of go into when I'm on the radio, because people who know me and, for real, I mean, I'm Kim. But people who conjure the night nurse and listen to the show, I have to kind of make her, she's part of me and we are the same person, but she has some qualities and elements that I don't.
Wow. Well, before we get to the night nurse, and before the
Yeah.
night nurse was ever invented, there was Kimberly McSmith, who graduates from high school. Did you go
Yes,
off? Did you go off to college?
I did. So I went to High Point College as a freshman. And I went to High Point College because everybody else was going somewhere. Again, I've always been odd, always been weird. And so I wanted to be somewhere where everybody else wasn't. And it was before High Point was a university. Now High Point College is a university. And I was there recently because my daughter, my grown up 30-year-old, oh, no, she's 31-year-old daughter, lives in that area, and I've passed by it, and it just is very nostalgic. And transferred to North Carolina Central University, and I lived in that town after college for 8 years. And if someone were to ask me my favorite city in North Carolina, I mean, I would struggle with Durham and Wilmington and Asheville. Those are like, all three of those places are dear to me. I love Durham. I spent a lot of. I came to Wilmington from Durham with my family when I was way young. We were a young family and we came here because he got a job transfer. So that's how I ended up in Wilmington.
What year was that?
1993.
Yeah, that was that was the start of it all around here.
Where were you in 1993? Were you here?
No.
Okay.
I
But
was
you've always been here, though. I mean, I feel like you've always been here.
I lived in Charleston from 1990 to 1992, 90, maybe half of 92, and then I moved to Boone. And Boone has always been because we have a mountain house, we have our beach house.
Yeah.
I've lived in Boone most of my time in my adult life. I've been in Boone, but traveling out of Boone.
Oh, wow.
So I never really had I was out on the road 6 months out of the year, but Boone is because I worked in the ski resorts and the ski industry, and half of my life I've been a closet board sport addict. I have a board sport addiction, so I've really I'm addicted to
a board sport.
Yes, addict. Like snowboarding and all that. But we won't talk about me. Let's go on with you.
Okay.
So after
I came to Wilmington.
Yeah, you came to Wilmington and everything started for you, and that's when you started thinking about, like, before that, when you were in High Point and all that in the Durham area, did you notice the little reggae scene there? Because that scene was very.
I was the girl
that affected me big time
of all the concerts. I was the fan. I was the fanatic. I
Right.
was when Black Uhuru was at the Cat's Cradle, when Black Uhuru was in any club in the area, in the Triangle, in the Piedmont area. I ran around following bands, like Awareness Art Ensemble, like, I mean, just, yeah, I
That
ran around. I
that
was that
reggae
girl.
scene was so like a little different from us, ours now, because we were looking up to all these elder
Yes.
heavy rastas that were deep inside the
Yes.
scene. And so
Roots.
for all of
Roots.
us, I know you probably experienced everything like from 80, not 88 to 90. In the 90s there was like this,
Earlier. Yeah,
yeah, this
man.
like little reggae
Yeah.
world that we were all a part of. And
Yes, man. And I mean, at that time, it was just roots. It was just roots. There was nothing else, you
right,
know.
what did
So that's what captivated me
what did your
into this
dad
music.
listen to though? Your dad's music, what was that like?
African music. I mean, he loves African music, but he is also captivated by R&B.
Yeah,
He loves
of
R&B as
course.
much. And in the house now, which I'm sad because I haven't seen my parents in a year because of COVID.
Oh,
They live right in Raleigh.
uh,
But they in the house, and when we have family gatherings and everything, it's a mix, but a lot of R&B. He's a huge, huge fan, and he he even likes stuff like one of his favorite songs is "Waiting on the World to Change."
oh yeah, that's a wonderful,
That's one of
that's a
his
R&B,
favorite songs.
that's a masterpiece R&B song.
Well, but it's really not. I mean, it is, but not when you've got, what is his name singing it? Oh my gosh, this
I
wonderful
know,
young man.
I know, but
Yeah, that's the version he likes.
but I
I
really
can't
have
think
a
of his name.
for me, I feel I what's his name, John, whoever. I,
Why can't I think of it?
but
But
I
yeah,
really, I've gone in depth about him and really studied what he's doing, and he is a virtuoso from Berkeley Music School, and he's tours with the Grateful Dead. He has a real deep um appreciation for the blues. I mean, he did the little pop hits, but he also toured as a blues musician. So he definitely wanted to, he did the pop hits
John
to
Mayer. I
John
just
Mayer.
Googled him.
Yeah,
John Mayer.
to make the
Yes,
money,
my dad loves that
but he's
song.
an incredible
Loves.
blues musician as well. So I have a lot of respect for him, even though he
The
does the
music
pretty boy
industry
thing.
does. Yeah,
Yeah.
he's well respected.
So yeah.
He's Dave Chappelle likes him. That means he's golden.
Yeah. But we get out of there. But anyways, so like the
Yeah.
kind of music that your dad also listened to from Africa, like what kind of music? Do you know any of these musicians,
I mean, not so much that
or is it
they
just
stuck out because again, there was a balance. There was a
exactly
balance. I
they're just
mean,
going on?
if I were to go into his discography, I would come out with I can't even say the radio station, but there's a radio station in the area that plays everybody's music from like James Brown to Jim Croce to Bob Marley.
Right.
That is so. Yeah, he's
That's what
not
you were raised on.
highly Americanized, not at all highly Americanized, but his music taste is. So I mean, when I talk about him, I tell people, yeah, I grew up with him and in the culture, but the reggae piece, it literally, it's me. And again, I just have stopped trying to explain it years
We had
ago.
that pop and funk thing in the 80s. I think all of us had this thing that just drew us to like the reggae thing.
Yeah,
And then
I'm glad. I had an actual debate on Facebook the other day because I stopped, I want to say 1982, 83, being plugged into hip hop because it was rap at first for us, folks my age. And then it grew into whatever it is now. And now we've got WAP, the wet ass P word. And so that right there, I can't even relate. I've started a brawl on Facebook the other day, and I really didn't mean to, but the the roots of reggae music, not just the roots sound, but what reggae music is about, is probably what captivated me because it's about values, by and large, and it's about living better and better coexisting. And so the brawl on Facebook that I started, someone put up a post, and I just posted it on my page, and it was something like, if you could end the plague right now, what music, and you could do it by letting one genre of music go, what genre would it be? And I chose hip hop. And then people started asking me about why and everything like that. And so, yeah, I'm captivated by the purity of the music. and the purity and the intentions of the roots of the lyrics.
That's a
And
courageous statement.
it's to me, it's family values.
Yeah.
That's what reggae is to me. And
Yeah.
if the music that I listen to and that I embrace most can't represent me by and large, all genres fall off. But if it can't represent who I need to be and what my brand of humanity is, then I can't co-sign it. So, yeah.
I
But
kind of
that
want.
was
I don't want to go too deep in that in a thought of where that comes from, but it seems like the music industry took the dirtiest and most evil side of hip hop
they did.
and brought it to
I can
light when there was a lot of positive hip hop and there was a lot of really good stuff out there that had a
not
good
just hip
conscience,
hop.
but
There
that
was Public Enemy.
right and all that. What happened to? I don't know what happened there, but it seemed like there was the music industry said, "Well, this is what sells, and we're going to push this." And
That's what they did,
you ain't got no,
that we don't want to make. Babylon system does not want to make the people too conscious and they don't want
exactly
to empower people quite too much.
right. And that's the whole thing
So
is keep them
that's part of that
keep
too.
them running for
Which
the
is
gold.
and I love reggae because it's rebel music, like
Yeah,
Bob said, it's rebel music.
that's deep. So when you came to Wilmington, you were already a conscious Rasta loving, reggae loving
Oh
person.
yes.
So then you just how'd the radio
It's
gig come
ridiculous. If I
about?
told you, you would not believe it.
You
I've
got to
said
tell
it.
us the magical
It's
story.
so ridiculous. So before I left, there was a woman on the radio in Raleigh named Sharon St. Clair, and she was on public radio, an African American woman, and she was the night nurse in the Triangle area. Really, they didn't call her that, but that's what her role was, and wherever she said go, that's where we went. She was at all the shows. She was on the radio. So I found out with 3 weeks' notice that my husband at the time, had this job and we needed to move. And I said, I don't know what I'm going to do without your show because, of course, we didn't have the internet in 1993. And so she said, well, girl, I know this one guy who works at the public radio station. His name is Larry Thomas. And he does a jazz show. But when you get there, call the public radio station. And we found out what it was and everything. And, see if they have because all I wanted to do was hear it. I didn't want to be it. I just wanted to hear it. And then I got here and at the time, it was WHQR. And at the time, they did not have anybody playing reggae, but public stations always have volunteers. And they had been in and out of students from UNCW and, community folks who had done it. And this guy, even the jazz guru, and he still is. He's at North Carolina Central now, I think, on the radio. It was the last time I checked, Larry Thomas. But he's also from Wilmington, a huge family name, really good folks. And what he did was he said, well, I called the station and asked for him. And then he finally called me back and he said, well, we don't have anybody doing it. If you've got records and music and you want to do it, this is really on the precipice of CDs, just the
Yeah.
beginnings of us even dealing with those. But he said, if you've got music, yeah. And he said, and I have some I could probably get you too. So I met him at this cultural store that he used to have on Red Cross Street. He used to have like a Rasta conscious African American bookstore and all this stuff. And yeah, I went to his store one day and he had, I want to say, a good maybe 100 CDs that he had gotten through working at the station, and distributors send them. And he's a reggae fan, but he's not a reggae lover. And he was like, "You can have these."
Oh my
And
gosh.
I had some of my own. I was blown away. He said, "You can have these if you're gonna do it." I said, "Yeah, I'm gonna do it." And so I had a meeting with the general manager, Michael Titterton, at the time. And Michael was a man from Wales. And he asked me to come in and bring a proposal, which I wrote down on a legal pad, a yellow legal pad. Yes, I did. Because that was a time in which everybody in the place didn't have a computer in their house either, 93.
No.
So I met with him and told him, look, I've got my records. I moved here, and I was, yeah, in media, really, in Durham. I wrote for the Black newspaper, and in Durham, the Chronicle, I believe it was at the time. Don't quote me on it, but I think it was. It's been ages ago. And I said, so this is my background in, communication, and I was communications major and journalism minor and all this stuff, and he said, well, okay, we have volunteers all the time. He was not impressed with anything other than, you want to volunteer? Cool. And if you can learn how to do this, the art of radio, then I'll have my operations director meet with you and teach you. And we're not going to pay you. But if you want to do it, you can do it. And so I said, okay.
Oh
And
my gosh.
I learned to do it.
That was the start
And
of a whole movement.
and I've never been off the radio since 1993.
That was the beginning of the Wilmington reggae scene.
God, this is a crazy story.
You
That
got it
doesn't
right there.
happen,
That's like a
you know?
movie. Well, that's how life was back then. Like, it's not like that. Everything's kind of corporatized, and you got to
Oh
jump
God,
through
it
the
could
hoops.
never happen now.
But
It could
nowadays,
never
you could just walk up to the office and somebody say, "Okay, you want to
be
try
on the
this?"
radio. I didn't want to be on the radio. I just wanted to hear reggae, and nobody else was doing it. So I was like, cool. But that is one of those things that, when you look back, it was for you. It was supposed to happen. You
Well, reggae
just
was hidden from like all of us. It wasn't on the radio. It was hard to get a hold of. You had to, share music or have a Caribbean kind of record place close by. That's what we had. A guy from Jamaica was up the street, so we had a little Caribbean record. But it was hard to not necessarily. In those days, to necessarily know the Jamaican roots masters in depthly was not so easy.
I mean, when I think about like all of it, like putting it all piece by piece,
I know.
making this happen in a place like Wilmington, no less. Yeah, it was interesting.
That's when we started our band. Like, that was like around the start of it. So same kind of
It
thing. All
was,
of us
and
came at
the
the same
supply and
time.
demand thing happened with promoting concerts too, because I was all of a sudden this person on the radio playing the music, then clubs started finding out who I was and leaving information at the station, going, "Does she know the bands? Because we want a reggae band." And I'm like, "No, I don't know the bands. I don't know anybody. I just got here." So I started meeting you all, and
How
yeah,
cool.
then I started promoting shows.
And the 90s were very interesting indeed.
Oh my goodness. I remember you coming when you didn't live here, but for some reason you would come through Wilmington, and it was periodically. It wasn't even often at all. But do you remember coming up to the station, because my show was on at like midnight till 4 in the morning or something like that? And you had come up to that station in the middle of the night on your way to Wrightsville Beach before and just hung out with me, you know?
I do sort of remember it. That was like the start of it all.
So, why wouldn't you remember everything, Mark? What's blurring your memory? I know, right?
Oh my gosh, there's so
The,
much
the
has gone
blur of
on.
some of the 90s.
Oh, the
Yes,
90s were
yes.
so incredible. And you would just blast our music when did not know what we were doing. We were just starting out and recording these crazy little recordings, and you would just play the music.
I'm playing it, man.
So
Whatever. That's what I was there for.
I got hit songs because of you. So
You got what now?
I got a few like just hit songs in the neighborhood around here because of you.
Jah Life Tree is my favorite.
Yeah.
You know Jah Life Tree still from SELAH Dubb, OG SELAH Dubb, Jah Life Tree. That's my cut right there. I love
it's so
it.
funny because it's a song that I wrote at such a young age. You know what I'm saying?
You remember it?
Oh, I play it occasionally just because
Okay.
people want it, but it's a song you write as a kid, so it has a
different whole vibe now.
Well,
too.
yeah.
Yeah. To us, it's I don't know why, man. I still love that song. I really, really do.
Fun
I think
times
it's just
indeed.
sweet, and it's clean, it's pure, it's good, and it's effortful. I can tell you all are giving it everything you got at that time.
Yeah. Well, in the 90s, we had all the big roots bands go on tour, and that's when I got to tour with everybody from those and
really
and all. I got to play with all this in the 90s, and they all came through here, Burning Spear and all those bands. So what was the spot everybody was playing? I mean, you had the Mad Monk, but then after that kind of burned down probably.
It did.
And then
it burned down. I want to say, it burned down. The OG burned down before I got here.
Yeah. then they had the second one. So you had a few reggae shows there. But when you had a big band come through town, where would they play?
First of all, I didn't do big bands at first. The first band that I ever booked in Wilmington was at Bessie's downtown. I don't know if you ever played there. If you ever
I remember
played
it was Israel Vibe, wasn't it?
On the River. No, that was the first international band that I booked. But the first band, like regional or local or national, before I did Israel Vibration was AAE. It was Awareness Art Ensemble out of Richmond, and it was at Bessie's. Bessie's was the first place to bring me and Night Nurse Promotions to do live reggae. Yeah.
If people don't really realize, AAE, Awareness Art Ensemble, was the most popular East Coast kind of cover band, and in the 80s all of those kids would go see them play, and that was kind of our introduction to the Rasta culture, I think, for everybody around the Carolinas. And they would lay it out, those shows, and
they were the gurus, man. They were one that I followed a lot in the 80s and in the 90s. And when I got here and I could bring them to me, it was awesome. I'm still, I keep in touch with those guys. And we lost Chuck X to cancer some years ago.
Really?
But he was the bass player.
Yeah.
But everyone else is still moving and grooving. Olamina is the lead singer, and he's the one I talk to the most. And everybody knows Drummy Zeb, went large and in charge,
Drummy Zeb joined the Wailers.
And joined the Wailers, I mean, Awareness Art Ensemble, like every one of those guys could have had that kind of break because they were that amazing.
Oh, they were all top notch. I finally got to play with them at like 93 maybe, and I was on stage with them, just even though they were the local, it was like the first step in, wow, I'm playing with the top, the greatest. It was tripping me out because I was like, I remember being in the crowd watching them. Now I'm on stage.
I do too.
I
love the crowd in Durham and all those places that I went.
Yeah, that's amazing. That's an amazing band.
I've loved them way before I was the Night Nurse. I loved it all way before I was the Night Nurse is second to reggae.
Yeah.
Yes.
And throughout the middle of the 90s, we had that little uptown scene and all that going on.
With Charlie Brown's, we got into that.
You were hosting a lot of that stuff then, and
that was some of the most fun I've ever had, man. Charlie Brown's Downtown Lounge, reggae Sunday nights that looked like Friday and Saturday every Sunday night. That place was insane. And some of the craziest bands, I brought the Abyssinians there. The Abyssinians roots reggae band played on the Charlie Brown stage, Yellow Man, and on and on and on. And so many of the locals, like you all in the regionals, that spot was tiny and large all at once.
I was so grateful because you brought us in as like probably one of the first bands, because
I did,
because you were helping us out a lot, and you needed bands in there, so we come in and play. And
I was going to say, I knew you all.
Here's a little story. In the about the late 90s, I got a weird record deal, and this weird record deal ended up being this producer sitting me down saying, you can't. I already had dreadlocks to the floor and was full on roots, and this guy came to me and said, what if we cut your dreadlocks and get you in a rock band? You're really good, but I can't see it. I don't see it. And this guy was Stuart Copeland's, Stuart Copeland from The Police. He was his producer. He produced all of
my God.
He produced Synchronicity, but he was just the sound. He was just the engineer. He wasn't the producer, but he was the producer he was producer on a bunch of other stuff later on for Stuart Copeland. He was friends with him. So he was saying all this stuff to me, and I was like, oh crap, what do I do? Okay.
Mark,
he
that's
said,
an awful.
He goes, I'm going to give you unlimited time to go make this record. I want you to make a record that's not reggae. So in about 98, 99, I don't know, my roots band kind of broke off and like, what the hell are you doing? I kind of, and I made this record that was like kind of weird funk, weird rock. It was my worst record. And I was playing Bessie's and all the different clubs, and I was on the Roots tour, like playing strictly Roots. And in that little reggae Roots tour that was there, you could play all over the country in these different places. But when I came out with that record, it was not Roots. And I came through and played like Bessie's and places in Wilmington. And those tours, I played this weird rock and got a really bad, like I played some shows where I had a really bad reaction. And
you mean you personally?
the crowd, and then they came to you and
Oh,
said, "What's up with this guy?" And you had to come to me and say, or you didn't
did
say
I
it,
did
but
I
you
do
stopped.
this?
You
Did
had
you
to
do?
stop booking me. I understand why. You had to
I don't
stop
remember,
booking.
Mark. I promise I
You had
don't
to take me
remember.
out of the mix because there was complaints, and I know why there was
Oh my
complaints. This
gosh.
was a time when I changed over from SELAH to the SELAH sound system before SELAH Dubb, and so, but what was crazy was there was a lot of talk all over town, and I knew all
Yeah.
the Rastas in depth, and they were all, "Oh, the night nurse ain't gonna book you now. You're playing that weird
Oh
funk." And
my
this one lady
God.
looks at me. She looked at me at Bessie. She goes, "I'm going to tell the."
Mark,
She
I
said,
wish
"I'm
I
going
could
to tell the
remember.
night nurse you can't fake the funk. You're not even
Oh,
playing reggae anymore." That was the first time I ever heard someone say you can't fake the funk. She kept going, "You're faking the funk. You can't fake the funk. I'm going to tell the night nurse." She went and told you or
oh
something.
my
And so
God.
I don't feel I have no. I've played for 5,000 shows. I have no animosity to anybody in the
Oh,
scene or anything.
Mark, I
It
am
was because
sorry.
everything you do is your own reaction, or you wherever you fit in is how you fit in. I was not fitting in, and I was playing this weird
Oh
funky
my
rock, and it was
gosh.
not good music. That album was terrible, and I kept playing those songs. And so, anyways, I lost the Bessie's gig to that for that,
Mark,
and I got
because I cut you
Redemption
out.
back. Yeah, but it wasn't your fault, and it was my
Oh
fault. But then
man.
but that scene was still blowing up, and I remember going to see a lot of great shows there. And I remember
Oh
you had
God, man,
Israel
it's one
Vibe
of my
there,
favorite spots.
and
I'm still friends with Lori Freshwater, who was the owner of the club at the time. Beautiful girl, then and now. We're still
yeah,
fast friends. Yeah.
great times indeed. Downtown, fun times all
Yes,
over.
man. Now downtown Wilmington, we what? It's been when I look back at 20, that's almost 30 years, 28 years. We have really just done such amazing stuff with this genre, with this music in this
Yeah,
area, right? We've done good stuff, big stuff.
it's been amazing. And then so we got into 2000, 9/11 happened, and that was like kind of cut everything off for everybody. And did not.
Oh
Is
wow.
this the time when
Yeah.
you switched over from public radio over to terrestrial radio, right?
Yeah, man. Yeah. And actually, I've had a little bit of a trip. So WHQR allowed me to, while I was on Rock 104.5, to in 1996 to do both shows. So I would leave at 4 a.m. WHQR, and then I would be on Rock 104.5 by 10 the next morning. So I'm getting, like
Wow,
really
yeah.
4 hours of sleep. And that's when I was really live, both, back and before technology would allow me to pre record anything. So I was doing it live, and I did that until what maybe two no I did that until 96. I did that maybe until 97, and then I stayed at Rock 104.5 and left WHQR. And
Yeah.
then I went from Rock 104.5 in 2005, from having started in 96, to the Bone. I went to the Bone. Not very many radio personalities who are women will be able to say I was on the Bone, but I was. I was actually on a radio station called the Bone, and it also housed that media group. Housed a radio station known as the Penguin, and we found a better fit from the Bone to the Penguin
Yeah.
for Reggae Redemption. And then I started noticing all these radio shows streaming, and the Penguin didn't at the time have a stream. So in 2011, I trekked on over to Modern Rock, which is where I am now. Coastal Carolina's Modern Rock 98.7 on Sunday morning, 10 a.m. until noon. And they had 100,000 watt reach, and they had an internet stream, and I wanted that for the music mostly, not even for me, but for the music. And it's been interesting, to have that kind of reach, and to know that people everywhere can hear it. And now, of course, the Penguin does have a stream, and all radio stations do, but in 2011 they didn't.
Well,
And yeah.
you have had a fan base that has followed you religiously throughout the years, from all the way from the days of the early radio all the way through. I mean,
Oh, my.
there's families that grew up playing this reggae to their kids, who those kids grew up. And I mean, I over the years, more than I'd be in different towns, people like, oh yeah, we wake up and listen to Reggae Redemption. You know, we
Oh,
heard
man.
you on Reggae Redemption. I hear that all the way up from Nags Head, all the way
Oh,
close to
God.
Charleston. It
I
comes
love
through,
it.
and you have made such an impact that there's not many DJs that you can say people are still, they still tune into this one radio show 30 years later. I mean, you passed up Howard Stern, you passed up
Oh, God. I
passed
wish.
up John Boy and Billy, you passed up all of these people, like, because this
Oh,
the
you're
purity and
awesome.
the reggae has is the most crucial thing, and people just they don't get it anywhere but from you. So you're able to bring them something they have no clue where to get and how to get and what to
Well,
find,
I
what to
tell
look
you,
for, you know.
though, Mark, I was afraid when internet radio and satellite radio came. I was afraid.
Yeah.
I was afraid of that. I was scared of that. I was insecure about that movement. And over the years since they have come to be and have been, I mean, it's weird, but you're right. It's people have stuck with Reggae Redemption and the Night Nurse. It's the strangest thing in the world. But yeah, I was. I remember hearing about it before it came, and I was like, What do you mean, internet radio state? What are you talking about? You know?" And when it came, I was like, "Oh my god, that's what it is!" And they can hear it anywhere, all the time, all over the world, and they still do hear it anywhere, all the time, all over the world. But they still turn on Reggae Redemption. I
Oh, they
mean,
do.
it's crazy. It's crazy, man. It is. And I remember at HQR having to, what folks didn't see behind the scenes in that those first years were reel to reel machine, something called a DAT machine with
Yeah.
something that looks like 8-track tapes that you record music on. If you know, some folks had their songs on that. The beginnings of CD and vinyl.
Yeah.
So in real time, I'm setting up a vinyl track. I'm using a DAT machine. I'm getting ready to spin a CD, and I've got some vinyl, and I've got a control board in front of me.
That's
It's
real
ridiculous now.
radio.
It's not, yeah, that was crazy. That was crazy. And if I look back now, I, with my 50 something brain versus my 28-year-old brain when I started this show, I don't think I would be down for all that. I'm glad that technology makes it easier, you know. I
Yeah.
am. But
Well,
I can say I did it. I can say I did it.
we saw the evolution of crazy equipment and crazy. The 90s seemed like something new every 3 years.
Yes.
And then
For musicians too, was it?
yeah, and then the 2000s, it just seemed like then we get into this internet world that you have to adapt to more and more and more. Now we're fully immersed, and that's where I want to talk to you. And now that we're at this level, I mean, I still got my old jam box. I crank up the radio every Sunday when you play, and it's hard for me to express to you without gushing on you too much that you're a legend here, and it's legendary in a different light than what I can express to you. But what I want to say to you is, as we expand into this internet world, I say this to a lot of people, but I really think you are the number one person that really needs a podcast that's regular, a couple days a week, just a really nicely organized little podcast that you could put on. I think the world would just be, so many people involved in so many different not just reggae, but just different places, different worlds, and
Well,
the world would
I'm
really
so
like that.
glad you mentioned it because in March I am launching a podcast. It was supposed to be a little earlier, but my co-executive producer Chuck Denson, Chuck D, the unofficial mayor of what do you call it, downtown Wilmington, and one of my best friends on the planet, who has been with me in Reggae Redemption since the '90s, not the very beginning, but very close to it. Chuck had a minor stroke here in the past month. And so we were working on a podcast that we were going to launch like at the new year. But we are really conscientiously hoping that we can get this launched by March. And if we don't by March, we know that we are straight for April. But it's going to be a hodgepodge. It's not just going to be about reggae. So that freaks me out a little that you say that. I haven't mentioned that to you, have I?
No.
Wow.
But we haven't talked, but
In a
we kind of
minute.
talked.
We
We
haven't
had a little
talked since your new music,
yeah,
you
we had a
know?
little talk a few months back before I had to go into
Yeah,
the hospital.
when you introduced and gave me your new music, which I got to tell you, I play "Smile" quite a bit. I think that's to me that's one of your best ever. I love that song.
Oh, I'm honored.
I mean that. I
um,
love it, and folks love it, and I get requests for it. But I personally love it. And you know
oh,
me, Mark. I don't say anything to make anybody's day. I say exactly what I mean. You know. So I love the tune. I
oh,
do.
I'm honored. I'm honored. So we'll get to that now. What nowadays we got a lot of new stuff coming out in the on from Jamaica and worldwide as far as reggae music goes. So, who are the heavy hitters in your heart and your soul that you've really been into in the last couple of years? Like, if
Oh my
to turn
goodness.
people onto something new, not just the old roots. A lot of us know and have heard it all before, but some of the newer players in the game. Who are some of the people that really catch your heart?
Well, I mean, at the risk of being cliche by now, because everybody loves a little bit of coffee, I'm going to go ahead and say Coffee, the
Okay.
first female reggae Grammy winner. You know, Coffee to me is light in this world, and speaks so much freedom in her lyrics, and even in her packaging, and how empowered she is about who she means to be and how she means to be seen.
Yeah,
You
I love
know,
her
she's
videos.
a very strong spirit in in a tiny young woman. She just had her 21st birthday. She and my son are of the same generation. He's 21 as well.
Hmm.
And I'm just so proud of Coffee as a female, as a Jamaican, as an artist, you know, and just as a person. I revere her quite a bit. I like her. I'm also a Chronix fan. I just think Chronix is the perfect amalgamation of a lot as it
Yeah.
relates to Caribbean music. You
Hmm.
know, he's got that he's like I think Chronix can sing. You know, so he's a singer. He is a chant artist. So you know, he's got that dance hall vibration. He's got some of that ragamuffin in him, and and he's young, and I'm thinking if he is this now, and he, you know, he was instrumental in Coffee's development as well. So if I mean if he has this talent and this eye for the industry and the music that he does now, I think he has longevity in this industry and definitely in reggae for some time to come. He's smart. So he came out as an artist because I think that's a great vehicle, but then he got interested in the background and in the producing and in all of that. And so I like to see that, particularly in Jamaicans and people from the Caribbean, but by and large for Jamaicans, because I don't ever want to take anything from that island. So much has been already, you know, and so I always tell people, well, I'm not from Jamaica. I wasn't born there. It was born in me. And I have absolute respect and reverence for the island. And so, not to besmirch any other offshoot dance hall or any of the, you know, any of the other offshoots that we have of the roots, Jamaica deserves a Chronix and a coffee
Yeah.
because that's where it all comes from.
It seems like the this generation that's come through just the last 5 years or something, there's been this movement of strictly, maybe even 8 to 10 years now. I'm getting older, but this little movement that came through with Chronics, and I'm trying to think of some of the people, but there's been this little movement that was
Protege is among
protege,
them.
very refreshing. You know what I'm saying?
I love yes, I love Protege. Now, if we're talking about the spin that reggae has taken with, you know, we have Blue Eyed Soul. Well, now we have Blue Eyed Reggae. So if we're going to talk about those bands, there are some bands that truly touch me, truly touch my spirit. I'm gonna first say Tribal Seeds. Tribal Seeds, they touch my spirit.
Hmm.
I I I, I think there is a kindness about their lyrics. I think they don't if I'm being honest, I think they don't mean to be Jafaican. I think they mean to be artists, and reggae is what they love to do and produce. So I sense and feel a great deal of authenticity in the presentation and the intentionality of that band. Tribal Seeds has all my respect.
Hmm.
They do. And I also like If I'm talking about fun and lighthearted and just, you know, just having a good time, reggae. I like what is the band? Gypsy Girl.
Hmm.
What is the band? If I wasn't trying to think of Aya Terra. Do you know them?
Oh yeah.
Aya Terra.
Oh
I
yeah.
like them.
Oh
I
yeah.
like them a lot.
They have the big. They kind of play kind of big acoustic. Have a big acoustic ensemble stuff they do
Because
on some of their
and they
videos.
have raw, real talent.
Hmm.
They can do their thing. They don't need any kind of studio stuff going on behind. That's part of why I do like Ayaterra. Thank you for saying that. There are others, you know, I mean, reggae has definitely grown well beyond the roots. And as a radio personality, I have to stay in step with what is, what's happening. But as just a fan, I'm going to always be about the roots. And this community, a lot of folks, would love to hear more contemporary stuff on Reggae Redemption. And I mix it in because I need to. But if I go by requests and things that people want to hear based on the radio, I'm based on the radiobutter@hotmail.com email address, which has been the email address for that show since email was invented. I've never changed it. Radiobutter@hotmail.com. But if I listen to that and calls from my hotline, it's always roots.
Hmm.
I mean, I would love to play new stuff a lot, but this community and the region and the fan base of this show is so committed to roots reggae. I find that interesting. I
Very
do.
committed. Are you there?
I'm here.
Okay, I didn't know we got cut off. Well, yeah, man. I myself, I don't know if you've tuned into some of the international reggae around the world, but
Yes, always.
for me, I'm the last couple of years been drawn to the south of France, people
Oh,
in
okay.
Italian reggae, south of France, all those people in those areas. There's bands like
Do you
Dub
have
Inc.
favorite bands there?
Dub Inc. is my favorite band of all time ever.
No, you can now see if you mention them, that means you got to drop me something on them so I can listen and add them to Reggae Redemption.
Dub Inc. is the greatest, in my opinion,
Never heard of
the
them.
most incredible reggae band that's ever been. They've taken what we all created and taken it one step further with
Ooh, I
some
can't
kind of
wait.
virtuoso ability. Because the singer, they have two singers. They have a toaster, and he's got this real
Ooh.
low pitch voice, and then they got this lead singer that's like, I can only compare him to Freddie Mercury. He sings like he's like almost an
Okay.
opera singer. He's like, that's his range is almost like an opera singer, and so he gets up there and just
Wow. Okay.
it's the most incredible mixture of this kind of dance hall toaster and this opera singing guy, and then this band that is like it's like I look at the band, I'm like, that is SELAH Dubb, that's SELAH in the 90s. It was like it
Back in
looks
the
like,
day,
yeah, it looks
day.
like my crew. It's like that we're the same people, we started the bands in the same time, so that's probably why I'm so fond of them. But they just do this thing, and they definitely just they're fully give full respect to the culture, the vibes. There's no fakery to it. It's just there's this incredible musicians that reggae's in their heart and soul, and they take
Well,
it all
that's
over the world.
awesome. I
And
want to hear them. You got to send me something, Mark.
they got this
Text me.
audience. I mean, I could never see anything like it. They got an audience that just goes crazy. Like it looks
Yeah.
like a football game or like a basketball game or something. Never seen anything like it. So check out Dub Inc. one day. All these different. I can start naming bands, but the main thing is that I feel like the revolution's gone international with reggae, and I think it's crucial that maybe it doesn't get limited or maybe pigeonholed or maybe
Oh, yeah. I mean, it has
stereotyped.
to in order to live beyond us.
Right. And this maybe been stereotyped or however it has been, but I feel
Yeah.
like it's the different, the
Well,
syncopation of the music I can see technically is not, doesn't even, it out masters all other musics because the syncopation and the heartbeat does something to your inside, and it does something to your
or it doesn't.
metabolism.
I find that people either love it or they don't. So when people say, it's all right, I'm like, no, you don't even like it. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Either you love reggae or
Yeah.
you don't.
And that's
You
true.
know,
That's
I
true about
mean,
everything.
Say again.
That's true about everything, but the people that
I
do
mean,
love it.
right? You either love it or it doesn't matter to you. I will tell you one I can't leave out though, artist, and that's Majek Fashek.
Oh yeah.
And I will shout out Nigerian-born reggae artist Majek Fashek as the most, I mean, literally in my whole career, the most requested artist of all time, and it's not even for his discography. It's for the one song.
The
It is
hit.
for the one song that opens up Reggae Redemption every week. I'm Not Tired by Majek Fashek
Oh yeah.
is and it has it I don't know. I know that it captivated me, which is why I chose it for the theme of the show. But what it has done to the masses, like it is cult like almost. Like that song has a cult. Not even Majek Fashek, but I'm Not Tired, the tune that tells people it's time to turn on Reggae Redemption. And that Reggae Redemption is going off because I give it a little snippet at the beginning, but I play the whole song at the end of the show. That song, I've never in my life seen any song from any band have an effect on the masses like Majek Fashek and I'm Not Tired. So I have to shout him out as a favorite artist as well.
Yeah, he's had a being from where he's from, he doesn't get over to the States as easily.
Yeah, man.
And
And he passed this past year. We lost him in 2020.
I know, and I was
Yeah,
going to say
man.
that
Broke my heart. Broke my heart.
because I got to play with him in Hampton Sydney College in
You
like
did.
2000, and but he had a
Wow.
hard time coming to America. When we talked with his crew and everybody, they were like, he has a hard time getting here because of visas and all kind. His government
Yeah.
doesn't allow him to get here easily, and so when he got there, he had a band that he had not had a chance to rehearse with, and he had to get up on stage with a band that would he. I don't think he even really did rehearse at all, and he was up there on stage trying to
I believe
get
it.
them going, but he got them going. He had to stop the music and reset them, but when he got them going and got the and this crowd came, we played the Hampton Sydney, which was a college gig for fraternities,
Wow.
but all these
Uh-huh.
people came from the town, and all these people came from all around, and so there was no more fraternity kids. It was just the whole reggae scene just showed up in the middle of the college, and that was one of the most incredible concerts I ever saw for
See, those are
sure.
the kinds of things that you wish you had footage of, you know?
Yeah,
You have
it was out
mental
in the
footage,
football
which is
field.
everything.
Yeah, it was like right out in the football field. They had a little stage, and they had us and some fraternity put it on, and
What's crazy is those kids don't even know who they were with,
they
you know? I
didn't. They didn't
mean,
even know. Just one dude
they
loved
don't
it,
even
and
know. Yeah, but yeah, I have to mention Majek and,
yeah,
and that tune. I'm so glad you had that experience.
all these the great elders are definitely getting older now. So
They
I
are.
would hope to
And
interview them someday, or have you. I hope you could interview some of these people, especially like Burning
well,
Spear.
this past week we lost Daddy Roy.
I know.
Just yesterday actually, and I'm gonna feature music from and he's a toaster, which in American music, a toaster would be like a bit of a crooner, you know, but also someone who could maybe scat if you're talking about jazz music or whatever. Daddy Roy has his own brand of reggae,
Or even
and
or I would say that's even that's where the birth of rap came from.
yeah,
If you go
man.
all
I
the way
mean,
back to
just putting it down.
yeah,
This scat rap is of same family. You're
exactly.
right. You're right. And he passed away, I think, yesterday. And so immediately upon hearing that, whenever that happens, and it seems to happen all the time, and we lost, Toots Hibbert in
I know.
2020 from Toots and the Maytals, and he's nominated for a Grammy this year, which March 14th is Grammy night on CBS at 8 o'clock. Um, and I'm really excited for him and all of the Grammy nominees. But how could I forget Skip Marley? I can't leave out Skip Marley in terms of impressed and how impressed I am. The kid is the genuine article. He
Oh
really
yeah.
is.
We
Yeah.
met him that day when we went on the bus with the
When we were
Marleys.
on the bus with my broken foot on the tour bus. I mean, do you even remember that? Yeah.
Yeah, we went and hung out with Steven. That was so cool.
Crazy.
We had to do it. We were like crazy
I mean, that was
groupies.
ridiculous. I broke my foot in the show. And I was like,
Oh
but
my
we
god.
have this thing after the show to get on the bus. And you're like, what are you doing? I'm like, F it, we're going.
Oh,
And we were on the tour bus with Stephen Marley's whole band, and Skip was there. and it was crazy.
Stephen
I
Marley was
feel
like, "Who are these people crashing our bus?"
right. They didn't know who we were. They did not care who, because I don't. I know a lot of folks. I don't know the Marleys. I don't know them. I have had several occasions to be around many of them. Ziggy Marley and the Melody Makers, full on at the House of Blues in a green room. Not and I get it, because even on the scale that I am a local celebrity, man, you don't ever know how people are coming at you.
Yeah,
And I'm really not. I'm not a people person, and that doesn't sound good. But I'm gonna qualify it by saying that I'm a loner by
you're
nature, and
introverted.
I'm a recluse.
You're,
And so because I'm on stage and I've done what I do on the radio and in a very public way, I think that makes people think you're full on all the time. But that is not the truth. And so you get freaked out a little,
yeah,
around people. So my experience around most of the Marleys has literally been that they are really not arms wide open. But I get it, because if what happens to little old night nurse in Wilmington, North Carolina, happens to me, and it can be an onslaught sometimes, and you know what it's like because you're a musician, I cannot imagine what having Marley attached to my name would make me feel like. And so, I've always given them their space. I've always given them their space. This kid, I find, I'm impressed. I love Skip Marley and his fearlessness with doing whatever he wants to do.
yeah.
He just goes for it,
Good
and he's good.
vibes.
And he's nominated for this Grammy as well. He's
Well,
nominated for a Grammy.
that day we were
Mhm.
hanging out with the Marleys, they didn't seem too standoffish. I mean, I was talking to Steve, and he was like, "Oh, he said I put your CD in. I listened to your music for a minute," and he was like very laid back, just like just rolling one up and just chilling. They always seem
And
like
I'm sure that my foot being broken was not me at my best. I'm sure, and people who are listening to this, I mean, I'm not even joking. My foot was broken, and I
oh,
schlepped to the bus. I'm
oh,
being so rude right now, but I'm multitasking. Let me tell you what I'm doing. I'm being a Jamaican completely right now because I'm eating a veggie patty. I'm actually eating a Jamaican patty from the African Caribbean Market and More, which is this awesome store in Wilmington, and they have the best patties in town. And so I'm eating a Jamaican patty, and I'm having my IPA Voodoo Ranger
that's
while
good.
you're interviewing me. So I'm being rude, but I gotta eat. I gotta self care and be the night nurse all at the same time. So I apologize.
Well, the Dubcast is just a hang. We're just
That's
hanging.
what I'm saying.
This
That's
isn't
what I'm
some
hoping. I'm with
major interview.
family, right?
I know I've had you on for a long time, so we'll get
It's
towards.
all
We've
good,
already been
baby.
on for a good hour, but I just honestly, I feel like everyone wanted to hear your story, and
Well,
so
thank
we've
you.
gone really deep here, and I want to save some for another Dubcast.
We
So
will.
but I think I've already got a bunch of comments up here, and
Oh
everybody's been listening,
man.
and I would just want you to know that you are, even though we don't touch base because I'm always on the road. This year I've had time to sit back and really think about the real important people in my life, and you've
Man.
been crucial to my career more than I would say, more than anyone, almost anyone, because
Oh my gosh,
you
my
have played my music for 30 years, and you played my music you're the only person on the radio that plays my music. Maybe a few
stop
people,
it.
but not, you're like the only one that's really played my music and been my supporter 100%. And you've supported all the locals, you've supported the local music, you were here to make the Lazy Pirate, the incredible thing it was,
Oh, with
and
my Danny Swinson.
Danny
Oh,
Swinson and all
my
this.
partner in reggae crime. Man, you talk about a heartbreaker. Losing
Yeah,
Danny really was something for our community.
it
He
was a
he did
mind
so much, and
blower.
he loved reggae. He loved Selah Dub, and
Yeah.
the pirate loved Selah Dub. I'm telling you, man,
Oh
that
yeah.
that that was genuine. It
It
was
was a
genuine.
great
He loved
time.
you.
Yeah, so I was about half dead when that all happened. So I kind of missed out on the whole memorial time, and
Yeah, well, you were
it was
healing. You
crazy.
were trying to fight your way back and not be where
But
he ended
yeah,
up. It hurts me to this day that Danny passed. It
and
does.
our
I'm so glad that
condolences.
you're well.
Yeah, and our condolences to Tony Dredd, who we also
Oh
lost.
my gosh.
Which
The first person that I met in Wilmington
me
was
too,
Tony Dredd.
me too.
You really?
Yeah, the first gig I was at, Tony Dredd was in the corner waiting to hear us play and wanting to jump on stage, and it was
Oh,
always good
of
vibes
course.
because
That's
we were
what
just
Tony
little
Dredd
kids.
did. He was infamous for that.
Yeah.
He was the first person I met in Tony Fisher was the second person from what was the band that they had? See, now I'm gonna get myself in trouble. There's been so many bands, and the Night Nurse is not 28 anymore. So,
God, I cannot remember the band right now.
oh, Tony Fisher's gonna kill me for not being able
Oh, because
to remember.
he's had three other bands since then.
If we had not been talking about a million of them,
Oh, it'll come up in a
then we
minute.
wouldn't have been. But
It's hard
Kevin
on a podcast.
Patterson,
Yeah.
Joe was in the band. I
Yeah.
mean, Tony Fisher was in the band. I cannot. Jamie Person was in the band. Just know that I'm naming all the guys in the band, and it is escaping me. This is a true sign of age. I'm telling you, man. But I loved them, and they
Wonderful
were
days.
one of the first. I think they were the first local band that yeah, that I booked and that I made contact with because I met Tony Fisher.
Yeah.
After I met Tony Dredd, these are folks who are from Wilmington, and again, who just kind of welcomed me in and helped me get my footing in the community and help folks know me. And I count you among those people in the state of North Carolina. Thank you for this, Mark. Thank you so
Yes.
much.
Thank you for coming on the show. Do you have any insights to give anybody during the lockdown to keep their vibes up, help everybody raise the
Goodness.
vibration? Do you have any kind of words of inspiration?
Yeah, and the thing that I say at the end of every Reggae Redemption show is, I want you to continue, as they say in Rastafari, continue continually to listen to Rasta music, because I believe it is part of the healing of the nation. I do. The healing properties in reggae music have been proven. You know, I mean, it's spiritual music. It's holy in its purest form. It is, and so I believe that, you know, and even and I will go this extra piece, this extra mile, and say even if it's not reggae, music is healing. You know, so wherever people find their happiness,
That's the truth.
wherever people find their things that make one. This is a time where people need to kind of do things that make them happy and that bring it to other folks. And it's a time to be selfless. I always find that when I'm doing something for other people, it's an immediate blessing for me. You know, and so I encourage that kind of thing. Unchained Reggae Band. Okay, I'm sorry. I just had a brain dump.
Unchained.
It was Unchained Reggae
I
Band.
was
That's
gonna
what it
say
was.
Unchained, but I thought that was after there was a band before
No, it
that.
was Unchained Reggae Band. That was random as all get out,
Oh
but I
yeah.
had to say it. Or those guys would kill me. But yeah, doing things for other folks really is part of my stability as well. So
Yeah.
those things, and listen to Reggae Redemption on Sunday mornings. That can't hurt. 10 a.m. until noon on
That's
Coastal
right.
Carolina's Modern Rock 98.7. Thank you, Mark Evangelist. Oh gosh, you know what, Mark? I cannot. Oh, I keep thinking of one last thing. Baby Beats. I love myself some Heather Purdon, and I can't close my cast without saying how much her being part of your band and our scene has meant to me and so many people, including Danny, who we lost. And I hope to see her back on the stage sometime as well. Heather Baby Beats Purdon, or Beats as she progressed to.
Oh, she
I'm gonna
will
have to
be.
hail her up as well.
We're coming to a new age and a new chapter, and then when that chapter opens up, Baby Beats will be up there, and we're gonna have a bigger band actually and a bigger show. So
Oh,
we're gonna be back
can't
with a
wait,
new
Mark.
thing. We're super stoked, and I'm super grateful to have you here. Everyone's really enjoyed the whole conversation, so we want to thank you for helping
Thank
us
you, baby.
raise the vibration here. We've learned a lot, and we've gone a long journey with you, and we want many more years of you. You keep doing that radio thing, and you give us a podcast because we want to hear your insights. We want to hear you talk to all the people you know, and we want to hear your opinions on a podcast. So you do that, please, Night Nurse.
Well, I will. And when we launch it, if you would, will you be on the podcast?
Oh yes, for sure. That's our
You will
new
come
thing.
on?
We're podcasters now.
Awesome. Okay. Well, then if you'll be on my podcast, then I'm going to bring you on. One of the first folks I'll have is you. Thank you, Mark.
Please.
I
Okay.
appreciate you,
Thank you
brother.
so much,
All right.
Kim. We'll
And
talk to
peace
you
and
soon.
blessings to everyone listening.
Yes. One love and unity to
Love
you.
y'all.
All right. We'll talk to you soon,
All
Kim.
right.
Thanks for coming in. All right, everybody. What an incredible interview that was. We want to thank Kim, the night nurse, for coming and joining us. What did we learn today? We learned that Kim is the legend. She is the GOAT. She is the number one reggae DJ in the country and in the world. She is loved by all of us. So thank you so much, Kim. We had such an awesome interview, and we've learned a lot, and we've raised our vibrations here today. So big thanks for tuning into the Dubbcast. Please like and subscribe here on the YouTube channel. Come say hi on Facebook, Instagram. Check it out on Spotify, iTunes, and all your different streaming sites. I'm SELAH shouting out to you from Modern Night Studios. Big love and unity from the Dubb. Thank you for tuning in tonight. The Acousticast is next, and I got some special songs for you. And then later on this week, we'll be interviewing Burt Ray as he gives you all his insights about the great blues masters. Thank you so much for tuning in. Have a good night. Big love and unity from the Dubb.